Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me. I'm Taryn, host of Paranormal Brew. Every Wednesdays, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Um, I'm having technical difficulties. In case you didn't see how the intro was looping and looping and looping, I'm like, okay. So anyway, um, tonight I have a very lovely guest with me, um, Jen Rose. She's a psychic medium. I was introduced with her. Matt Kondracki actually referred her to me, which I was very grateful for because I said I want to start having more women on because I do have a lot of men on, a lot of male groups. I said I want to start promoting the women in the field, and Matt was like, "Say no more." And I mean, he literally sent me some amazing women, and I'm very grateful for that. Um, I do. It's been a crazy day today, so I'm trying to unwind. And Jen, I talked to her briefly behind, and she's very relaxed and relaxing. So I'm like, I'm trying to like come down and meet her halfway here. So you guys are gonna love her. I'm gonna bring her on, and I'm gonna let Jen do some talking. Let's get her on.
Hi.
Oh, beautiful lady, how are you?
I am doing well. I know that things are a little hectic before we went on the air. So
Yes.
take a breath.
Yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely. I I said, when you have five or four fur babies, you never know what's going to happen. So I had a little incident before I jumped on with Jen. So we didn't get much time to talk, but thankfully she understands because she has five fur babies. So she
I,
gets
I
it.
do. I get it. I have four cats and a dog. I totally get it. Yeah, sometimes they just go crazy. So,
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for being here. I want to thank you for coming on. Um, I want you. I mean, I want to get into what you do and everything like that. But let's start, if you will, and you can, and whatever. I mean, this is your show. I tell everybody it's your show. So if you want to just tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and how you got into doing this, and then I'm sure the questions will be flowing.
All right. Well, sounds good. First, thank you so much for having me on. I'm very grateful to Matt for putting us together. So
Absolutely.
awesome. I have watched the show. I am a fan of the show. So,
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
yes.
Thank
So
you.
I'm excited. I am excited. So I am a psychic medium and I am based out of Northern Virginia, which is another way of saying Washington, D.C., basically. And I've been doing this professionally for 2 years, but I have actually been practicing since 2019.
Well,
So,
welcome. I love it. Brand new to the field. I love this. This is
uh,
awesome.
I'm really excited. I have had abilities my whole life. I was one of those weird kids that talked to people who weren't there, except I didn't know they weren't there. They were real to me. And that started as far back as I can remember, like around 3 or 4 years old. And I would see things, I would see people, I would have conversations, they would talk to me. And right around the time I was 9, I had kind of a scary experience and saw something that wasn't very pleasant and had contact with something that wasn't very pleasant. And at that point, my brain just started to turn it off. And so I shut it down and let it go.
So,
And I went through most of my adult life like that until it started to reemerge about 10 years ago.
interesting. So let me stop you there really quick.
Yeah.
So being a kid and having these abilities, mom and dad, were they into this? Were they so did they think you were cray cray? Were they like,
I was told that I had a very active imagination.
gotcha.
Yeah, active imagination. My dad was not into this. He didn't believe any of this. He wasn't even a very spiritual person, very religious person. My mom, later on, when I was much older, um, we were able to talk more openly about some of this. And she had her own abilities,
Okay.
as did my grandma.
Okay.
So she sort of knew what was happening, but she didn't know how to explain it to me. And you know how parents were back in like the 60s and 70s. It was
Yeah.
just like, oh, they'll be fine. And it was basically, I mean, I had a healthy interest in the paranormal my whole life.
Yeah.
Um, but about 10 years ago, I was in a really bad marriage and got out of it and got myself into a far better place. And then suddenly things started to open back up. And at first I was like, am I going crazy? And I knew deep down what it was. So I decided I was going to find out what it is and what to do with it. And hopefully I was hoping I'd get rid of it because I never had an intention to be a psychic medium.
Right.
That was the last thing that I ever imagined myself doing. So,
So what?
but
So how did it all of a sudden just start back up for you? Like, I mean,
so it started back up actually hearing things. I would hear conversations and I'm like, there's nobody around. I would go through the house. Is a television on? Is radio on? Something. Nothing. And the same thing would happen where music would come in. And really, I did think, okay, there's something wrong.
mhm.
But then it kept happening more frequently and more loudly, like right in my ear loud. And that's when it was like, you know what this is. You know exactly what this is. And so I started Googling, everything and started Googling like psychic abilities, mediumship. I read a ton of books that I found on Amazon. I was watching YouTube videos left and right. And one night, this is kind of funny because, I was watching the Holzer Files, right?
Mhm.
Which was a great show. I enjoyed it. I was watching it and I liked Cindy Kaye's work. And I was like, oh, let me go to Cindy's website, look her up, find out more about her. I'm on her website. I see a tab for classes. And I was like, clicked it. Beginning mediumship class. I registered and then almost didn't go. And when I went, I really thought I was just going to like hear her talk about mediumship.
Right.
I didn't realize we were being trained. I didn't realize that in that class I was going to be taught how to tap into this and then put in a room with another person and said, read. And I did. And
It's interesting though. Like, I mean, it's interesting hearing you say that because you like a lot of people have this misconception that when you are when you almost have this your whole life, it's almost like, well, why people always like, well, why do you need classes? Like, you should know, right? You should
I know.
automatically know. And so I'm glad that you're saying that because for somebody that comes from this long background of experiencing these things and being able to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
you still went ahead and you're like, I need to know how to handle this because I don't
Yeah,
know how to handle it.
because I didn't know how to handle it. I didn't know the extent of it. And really, my whole goal was just learning about it in hopes of learning how to control it and turn it off. And I did learn those things, but after that first class, I knew I needed to learn more. So I kept going to classes, and Cindy eventually became my mentor, my first one. Since then, I've studied with a lot of wonderful mediums. I've been really fortunate in that way, and I have sharpened these abilities to a point where, yeah, I can turn them on, I can turn them off. You never really turn them off; you turn them way down.
Right, right.
Um, and I, can read for other people and do it consistently and without an issue. Um, and that kind of led to, well, okay, now that I know, what should I do with this? And spirit guided me to actually working professionally. And that's what I
Well,
started doing. And I was very resistant to the idea for a long time. It was like, I don't know that I want to do this because I mean, there's such a stigma to, okay, you're a psychic, or you must be a fraud, you're a fake, you're a scammer. And no, I mean, I work with some wonderful people, and I'm able to help them. I am able to do remote views for paranormal teams, which is a lot of fun. Occasionally, I get out into the field, which is even better. So I get to serve spirit and serve my fellow humans in a very unique, wonderful, and really rewarding way.
yeah.
But like 10 years ago, I would have laughed if you had said, "This is what I'm going to be doing." I would have laughed at you. And I would have said, "What have you been smoking?" So, yeah. Yeah.
Not to bring up anything bad, but you said you were in a bad marriage. Now, in that
Yeah.
marriage though, did you feel spirit pulling you, like to pull you, or do you feel that being in that environment suppressed it, like to where you just weren't?
So being in that environment, because it was really an abusive
Mm,
environment,
sure.
and I started coping with it in really unhealthy ways. I was drinking way too much.
Right.
um the fact that I survived it, I know was spirit. Now
Right.
I know was spirit. The fact that I was able to get out and get myself healthy was definitely spirit. So I think at that point, I was being guided. And that's when the abilities came back. And it was right at the same time that I had started to like explore spirituality again.
Hmm.
And what do I believe? What really, feels right to me? And it all happened right at the same time. And it all just clicked, one thing after another, and all of these synchronicities of, all right, I'm doing my research, and then, oh, I'm watching TV and there's a medium I like, let's go look her up. Oh, she's got classes. It just steamrolled from
Right.
there. And it
Yeah.
continues to. I mean, I'm excited. I don't know what's coming for me, but I'm excited for
Well,
it.
that's what I was going to ask. So a lot of mediums, they'll say, um, they really don't connect with their loved ones, or they don't get things for themselves. Why do you think that is? Do you think that?
I think so. I think psychically, I usually don't get stuff for myself. I can't tell you exactly what my future is going to be. But if we're talking about mediumship and talking to spirit, yeah, I can connect with my loved ones.
Oh, that's
My
awesome.
mom and my dad are with me all the time, and they let me know when they're there, and I can have conversations with them. And I'm really fortunate. So I do believe that mediums can certainly connect with their loved ones, with their own loved ones. They may not be able to read psychically for themselves, but they can definitely communicate with their own loved ones.
I'm jealous.
Aw.
I get the signs and everything, but to be able to talk to my mom or my dad would be amazing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and my mom was into this stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I keep saying, like, Mom, what the hell? Where are you? Come talk to me. Like, you know. It's like, I don't want to talk to everybody that's over there. Just I want to talk to you. You know,
Mhm. Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
or to
yeah.
dad with
But
you too.
if I may, your mom knows that.
Yeah,
She hears you. She definitely hears
I
you.
hope so.
Yeah, and she sends you those signs that I feel like you recognize when something is specifically from her.
Yeah.
So,
It's
yeah,
true. And
yeah,
and that's the thing. Like my dad is very specific. My mom is very specific. So I do. I know when they're saying hi. But like I literally want her to hang out with me. Like sit down in the chair, let me see her, let me talk to I mean like
yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
everybody wishes they could have that, right? I mean
Oh, yeah,
it's,
yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, our communication, it all depends on what abilities are strong with us. Everybody's got the ability, right? But not everybody taps into it. Most people don't because it's been conditioned out of them. Most people don't even think that they could do this. They think that people like me, you have to be born with it. Well, here's the thing, everybody's born with it. It's whether or not you develop it
right.
is what it is. And I was one of those where it was already open as a kid, and then I was led to develop it as an adult. But everybody can develop it to a degree. Not everybody. It's like learning to play the piano. I think everybody can learn how to play, but some people are concert pianists, and some people can play chopsticks, and that's okay.
Right.
That's okay.
Yeah, some people can read the music and some people can just play those couple of keys they know.
Exactly.
I,
Exactly.
I can play the couple of keys.
but it's about developing it. And I mean, I still attend classes, I attend like practice circles and things like that, because it is one of those things, the more you use it, the sharper it becomes.
Right, right. Yeah, it's like a muscle.
It is, it
Of,
is.
of all the things that you do, what is your favorite thing to do? You said you remote view, which I think
Mhm.
is really awesome when people can do that
Yeah,
for investigations, which is awesome. Which I would love to do that with you sometime. Um,
I'm all for it.
yeah,
Hit
um,
me up, I'm all for it.
yeah, I would love to do that with you. Remote view for investigations, and
Mhm.
you do private readings. Do
I
you
do private readings. Yep.
do you do like do you have like go to part like where people have parties and do you do that kind of thing? Because I've heard
Group
that.
readings, gallery readings,
Yeah.
yes. I
Okay.
do gallery readings. I've actually got one coming up. It's a virtual gallery, so people will come onto Zoom, but I have one coming up Mother's Day weekend. It's Saturday, May 10th. And the tickets will be posted, the link for it will be posted on my website later tonight, actually. But I was kind of led to do that. That was an idea that came to me when I was meditating, and it just popped in. And I was like, oh, I should probably do that. So, yeah, I do. I enjoy doing that style of mediumship. And it can be done in person, it can be done virtually. I do both. But yeah, I really love that. And I really like being able to do that because it does bring in people who maybe otherwise wouldn't make a private appointment with a medium or a psychic. Um, so they come, they check it out, and they have an opportunity then to get a message from a loved one that maybe they really need.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Hmm.
So have you so that's your favorite thing to do then, the gallery type thing?
Galleries are one of my favorite things to do, and then remote viewing. I really enjoy doing that. I've started recently in the last 6-8 months working some cold cases. So I'm really getting into the psychic investigation side of it, which is fascinating. And
How
there's
do you how do you get set up to do that? Like
So there is Kay Reynolds is a fairly well-known medium. She wrote a book called The Evidential Medium, but she's also a psychic investigator.
okay.
And um, I already had the ability to remote view just from doing paranormal cases. And she was holding just a circle, a class for it. And I started learning how to do it and found that given the information, at least the information that I need to be able to kind of hone in, I can use my remote viewing abilities and my psychic abilities to get information about the case, about the victim, about the perpetrator. Um, yeah, so it's
So
really
how do
cool
you,
stuff.
let's
I've
say,
still got a lot to learn with it, though.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I find that interesting only because, like, how do you like then like let's just say you hone in, right? And you see what happens to somebody, you see the face of the person that does something to somebody, or whatever.
Mhm.
That how do you proceed? Like, do you go to the police? Do you like
So, with psychic investigation, a lot of times the thing is you don't want to just practice it on any cold case. And then if you get something, take it to the police because that's a really intrusive thing to do if the family's not seeking help from a psychic. So, what Kay does and what other investigators do is they will take cases that are referred to them where the family has specifically requested a psychic to come in. And the way the circles are held, it'll be a number of us, it'll be a specific case that she's working, but the more input, the better.
mhm,
So, and that information then is passed back to the family. Um, and it's been very helpful in a lot of cases, and some of them have been solved.
that's
So,
awesome.
yeah, I mean, it's really cool, but it's not something where you can just pick like an old cold case, you
Right.
know.
No, like John Benet Ramsey. Let
Yeah,
me
John Bonet or something like that. And go, oh my gosh, I need to alert the police because you know what's going to happen when you call the police? They're going to laugh at you.
or
They're going
they'll
to
say,
say,
"What do you know? Well, how do you
or they're
know
going to
that?"
say, how do you know this?
Right. Right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So
That's
it's one of those things you got to be careful with.
right. So, and there is people that seek out. You find that a lot of people do seek out that for the cold cases and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. There are a lot of people who, if they have a missing loved one or they have a loved one whose case hasn't been solved and it's gone cold, they are looking for help anywhere that they can get it. And so a lot of times they will start asking around or they'll do their own research. And there are people out there like Kay, there are a number of others who do it as well, who offer this. It's never a service that's charged for. And here's the thing is that if you ever need a psychic investigator and they say, well, here are my rates, run. This is not something that we would charge for ever because we're trying to help a family.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Which I think is amazing. And I'm glad that you said that because there are a lot of people out there that claim that they can help psychic and mediumship wise to help help the families. And when families are desperate, and they are in such unrest and there's no closure, people will almost do anything. You know what I
They
mean?
will.
Yeah, including give somebody money too. So I'm happy that you mentioned that about making sure, because if there's anybody watching that has anybody missing or there's a cold case, know that there's help out there that does not charge you
Right.
money.
Right. Absolutely. Because I mean, it's so easy for someone to take advantage and to get thousands of dollars out of people
Yeah,
and
and
give them
people will pay
absolutely
it.
nothing. It's horrible. It's
Yeah,
horrible. So
yeah,
it's like psychics who will go into a paranormal case and say, "Oh, well, obviously you have a demon. $500, I'll get rid of it."
right.
No, no. We don't charge, real ones don't charge for paranormal cases, and we certainly don't charge for things like psychic investigation. Absolutely not.
So go. Uh, Beth is another psychic medium that I love so much. She's like, it's horrible. She's agreeing with you.
I bet.
Um, do you know Beth?
I don't know Beth. I
Great
actually know
connection.
the
Great
name
connection to
though.
have. Oh, you know
Awesome.
her name, yeah.
I know her name though.
Yeah,
So
she's a great, and I think she's fantastic. I mean, she's a great person to know. So hopefully you guys can get connected because she's somebody that can really help guide. You know what I mean? She's been doing it
mhm.
for a really long time and she's
Oh,
amazing.
I'd love that. I'd love that. That's amazing.
Um, shit, I forget what I was gonna say. Damn it, ADHD. Um, um, so going on the paranormal investigations, I
Hmm.
find that that you know that is that is that easy for you?
Not always, no.
I feel like you have an advantage over us investigators.
Sometimes we do. I mean, I prefer if I am being called in as a psychic or medium in a case, I don't want to know anything about it at all. Um, but sometimes it doesn't make much of a difference. I'll be honest. I mean, we can go in, we can pick up the impressions, but depending on the energy that's in that location, some of it's really good at hiding until it wants to be seen, even when we go looking for it.
Mhm.
So I would say that, while we may have a slight advantage, not always, because even if I am picking up something, I want you guys to validate what it is that I'm getting. Because if I'm feeling something, okay, well, what is happening, with the REM pod? Are you getting EVPs? What's going on? So I want that validation from a team. I want them to validate that, okay, if I walk in, I haven't been told anything. I give them, this is what I feel, this is what I think happened. I want them to validate. And if I'm not right, tell me. Because, we're never 100% right. It just doesn't happen.
Right.
No matter what some may tell you, it just doesn't happen.
Right. Right.
So I am never afraid to be told, no, that's not correct. No,
Right.
you're wrong. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Then let me figure out where I went wrong. So, yeah. Yeah.
Have you ever?
But, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, though, with paranormal investigation, I think that it's definitely an advantage, teams that work with psychics or mediums. It's an advantage for the team. There are teams out there that don't want to, that want just their pure data results. And I understand that too. So,
So you find that there's teams that don't want to work with psychic mediums and stuff like that. I
yeah.
mean, like for me, I'm with the paranormal peaches. It's not that we just do our own thing, right? So it's not like we've never like I mean I don't think I've ever for the sole purpose of using, and when I say using, I mean that in a nice way, but using a psychic medium, what I mean, to aid in our investigation, like,
Right. Right.
um, but I know that there is like Matt does it. Matt brings
Mhm.
somebody on, they don't know anything that's going on. He brings it, the psychic mediums in, and watching that whole process was really cool.
Yeah.
Um, and I like the way he does things, for his show.
Mhm.
Um,
Me too. Me too. I'm a big fan of the show.
yeah,
So,
he's got some good stuff going on over there.
yeah. Mhm.
But did you ever? I know you said like when you know that you're wrong, but did you ever be somebody go, no, you're not hitting it, but you're like, yeah, yeah, this is. I mean, like, how do you get past that hump with somebody?
Yeah, that happens. And that will happen a lot. We were talking about the group readings, the gallery readings, and I will be getting like serious pieces of evidence, and I know what I'm receiving. Hey, Tammy. I know what I'm receiving is correct because it's so exact, and people won't claim it. And then later on, I'll get like an email or a message saying, "Hey, that actually was for me. I totally forgot about, my Aunt Mary or whatever." And it's psychic amnesia is what we call it. It's
Yeah. Yep.
that they get kind of in this space where their brain isn't functioning the way it normally would, and they're not it's not occurring to them that, oh, I can take that information. Sometimes it's because they only want to hear from one specific person and they're not open to hearing from other people who may have messages for them, or it could just be that they're nervous in the moment and they just forget.
Yeah.
So it's hard when that happens for me. Hey, Veronica, when that happens, what I will do is I try and go back in to the spirit and say, is there something that they're not going to be able to deny?
Right.
One thing. I don't care what it is, just one thing that they won't be able to deny. And I was actually doing readings on Saturday at a shop here up in Front Royal, Virginia. And I kept seeing, I was asking for a piece of evidence from the spirit I was communicating with. And all he was showing me my client's car and her in it, nothing else. So I said, "What's going on with your car? Is there something with your car?" And she's like, "No, no." And it turns out she just, like a couple of months earlier, gotten personalized plates that were
Wow.
specific to the person who was
Oh. Oh,
communicating.
that's awesome.
But at first, she was about to throw it out, because she was thinking, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with my car. I haven't had it in the shop." And it's like, no, I need you to think about that for a moment, because what I'm getting is the car, you in the car. And then it occurred to her, oh, wait, yeah, I got those plates.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amnesia for sure. Or sometimes they don't know. Like,
Sometimes they don't know. And I always
yeah,
ask them to, I want either, okay, a yes, a no, I don't understand it. Or if you don't know, you're not sure, you think it could be right, but it may not be, just say, I don't know.
right,
So,
right. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna ask this really quick because Jing, my friend is Jing here. She's from Indonesia, so we're being watched in Indonesia.
Ah,
So I just want to tell you. So I want to ask her a question just in case. She says, Jen, sometimes I get tired of accepting what other people feel, and it often happens every morning when I wake up. I suddenly feel anxious or sad, and usually after I find out that it is from my mother or sister or my boyfriend. What do you think? Now, this cuts it off, but let me read it over here. What do you think is the way to overcome it? Can Reiki avoid the impact of other people?
So that's a really great question, Zheng, and thank you for asking that. Obviously, you are an empath, and as empaths, we pick up emotion like anything, like a giant sponge. And the fact that you cannot recognize what belongs to you and what doesn't is a really good start. So now it comes the practice. Reiki can help, but also setting the intention that you are not going to be energetically open to other people's emotions can also help. The way I explain it is, I say, imagine a bubble coming around you and around your body and your energy, so your aura, and it's protecting you from other people's emotions, energy, negativity. Anything that you say cannot get through, so that's your intention, this cannot get through, w- will not come through. It will protect you. And you just practice lowering that around you and then raising it if you want to be more open to someone or to your surroundings, your environment. I hope that made sense.
Thank you. It made
Yeah.
sense to me. I hope it made sense to her. I mean, it should. It should.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. But yeah, it's a whole practice of just protecting yourself, shielding yourself energetically.
so what in what so if I wanted to here's my one of my peaches actually, Kim. I'm an empath. I need to do that more. I actually have and not sure it works.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that can happen. It's a whole process that I teach people to go through, and it starts with setting the intention and then meditating to make sure that you're in that right headspace, and then imagining that bubble, that protective light coming around you. And I always tell people that whatever color they see associated with the light, that's what their protection, their protective color is. So I had a client we worked with recently, and when I say we, Tammy Christine, who's another medium, she and I work together sometimes. We had a young man, and we had to teach him to do that because he was very wide open, and his bubble is red, and
Mm,
so that red bubble lowers, and it just takes practice. But you have to set that intention. And the other thing is, you have to believe the intention. You
yeah,
have to
sure.
believe it's going to work.
Yeah,
Because if you don't believe it, that leaves you open.
yeah. Jing is saying thank you very much, Jen.
Oh, you're welcome, Zhang. Thank you.
So I took mediumship classes like once.
Aw.
Um,
Aw.
well, maybe like once or twice, like because I remember the first time I was like trying, like I have ADHD, not
Mhm.
medicated, so my brain just doesn't stop. So meditation for me is extremely hard.
Yeah.
So
You're
I
not
was,
alone.
yeah, and I was able to at one point, you know, I guess as you call it, hone in, right? In this
Mhm.
meditative, I wasn't completely in a meditative state, but I was somewhere because first I saw a woman who had white hair and she was wearing a purple robe.
Mhm.
And then I saw, and I did not ever, and I'll be honest with you, this was probably 10 years, no, more than that, like probably 12, 13 years ago, right?
Mhm.
So I was older, but I did not know what this was at first. But I started to describe, like I saw this huge dragon like bird, right? I said I didn't know what it was. I said it had purple and orange and red and yellow all around it, and I'm like telling the person teaching the class, I'm like, I don't know what this was. And she said it was a phoenix. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
what?
It's a
It
phoenix.
sounds like a phoenix. And I was like, what the heck is that? Is that a real bird? She was like,
Yeah.
it's mythical, but it
Mhm.
it's I can't remember exactly what she said, something about like rebirthing and growing and doing this and that. At the time, she was like telling me this stuff. Thank you, Beth. I am not. A lot of people tell me that, but uh,
Start believing them.
yes, a phoenix. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know what it was. I could draw it what I saw, and so when you were talking, that made me remind me of what had happened when I was, in that state of wherever I was at, and
Mhm.
seeing this woman, and then seeing the purple, and then seeing all the colors on the phoenix. Um,
Yeah.
it was very vivid,
Yeah.
and I mean, now I love phoenixes. You know what I mean? Like now I'm like, okay.
Mhm.
They said that she's like, that's kind of like your spirit animal, but even though it's not like a real thing,
Mhm.
it's it's a powerful thing to see.
It It really is. It's an amazing thing to see, and it does mean growth and transformation, as Tammy said. It's a cycle of rebirth. It really is, because the phoenix basically burns up and then rises again from the ashes.
Yes.
So it's
So
really
beautiful.
powerful.
Yeah.
And the fact that you saw that, that's incredible.
And I didn't
So,
even know what it was. I'm like, what am I seeing? Is it a
mhm.
dragon? And it is a bird? Like it just kind of like it was so gorgeous.
Yeah,
It was so
yeah,
gorgeous. Um,
yeah. So,
um,
oh, Beth says you're clairaudient.
I
Mm.
was going to share best comment, but here, Stevie is asking, does Jen have any tips on avoiding scammer psychics?
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about scammer psychics, because there are a lot of them and they give us bad names and it's terrible. So, yeah. Avoiding scammer psychics. So, number one, if it's online, know that anyone who is a psychic or medium is never going to reach out to you first. So, they're never just going to send you a message out of the blue and say that I sensed your energy and I'm drawn to you. They're not going to do that. Number two, if you are seeing someone and you're getting kind of a feeling that something isn't quite right, they give you, let's say, a very like general reading, no real specifics, but just enough that it could be right. And then at the end, they tack on, well, I really feel like you need whatever it is they're going to follow with. Either you have a curse that they want to remove, or you need help doing this. And for an additional 500, 1,000, whatever number you want to pull out, they're like, I can help you. No, it's a scam. It's a scam. So I always tell people it's okay if you're going to see somebody, research them. So check, do they have a social media presence? Do they have reviews like on a Facebook page, Google reviews? Do they have a website? Are there reviews on their website? So check them out. Um, and it's okay to reach out to them and ask them questions about their background and how they work. Don't ask them, can you read me, in a question, but say, hey, can you tell me, how long have you been doing this work? Have you studied with anybody? Anybody who is real is more than happy to share that information with you.
Right.
You
I
can
was going to say,
ask them for references even. I'm happy to give you the name of a few clients that you can reach out to and ask about.
yeah,
So, yeah.
that's a good idea. I mean, and people don't think to ask those questions. They don't think to
Mhm.
ask those questions.
No, they
Um,
don't think to ask those
Stevie
questions
says,
at
I've
all.
received those messages. I usually troll them.
Stevie, I do too, because I receive those messages. Even under my professional medium profile, I get those messages. And I'm like, let's
Yeah.
have some fun.
So go. Beth said Taryn is a clairaudient. You hear spirit, especially with EVPs. I do, but I don't feel like that is. And then you hear spirit when no one else does, and then you capture it on the recorder. Yeah, so that does happen several times.
Mhm. And that is clairaudience. So
Yes, and
if
that does
you're
happen a
hearing
lot.
it, if you're hearing it before the capture or as it's being captured, you're clairaudient. So you have abilities, and there are ways to work with ADHD. I actually am diagnosed ADHD as well. I am medicated,
Hmm.
but even before that, there are ways that you can work around it, especially with meditation, because meditation doesn't have to be, I am going to sit in the lotus position with my incense and my bells going off every 2 minutes. It can be anything that makes you relax, that takes you out of your head. I mean, for some people, it's doing things as simple as like washing the dishes or folding laundry, mundane tasks. Or some people, it's exercise or, going hiking or, I know with My brother, who has some ability, he can get out of his head just by going fishing. He
Yeah.
just, yeah. So there are ways to do it. It's whatever's going to get you out of your head and
Yeah.
open you up so you can hear what's coming in.
Yeah. There was another. So I stopped doing the mediumship because I'll try to make this as quick as possible because this isn't about me, it's about you. But
Oh, I
um,
want to hear it though.
so I mean, we did this one. It was one class, and the person teaching it brought in people that we didn't know, and I had to read two people, and
Hmm.
my thing was holding their hands. I
Yes.
held their hands, and I didn't at them. I looked off to the side, but I held their hands. And the first one was like a normal reading, but what I would get was I was seeing my grandmother, but I was describing my grandmother, describing, and it was resonating with the person that I was reading. They said, "Oh my gosh, yeah, like it's an Italian woman, always dressed to the nines, and you know what I mean, like and she said, yeah, so but she was relating with everything. But
Yeah.
then the second reading was a little, it scared me because I it was a very detailed pictures I was getting. So I was describing everything I was seeing in my head. I said, there's this woman, she's real skinny. She's, early 20s, long dark hair. She's wearing this like this, it's a sweatshirt that should fit her, but because she's so thin, it looks like it's huge on her, and I see a chain link fence, a black top, and she's got her head down, and she's like, if she feels like she left something behind. And I'm going on and on and on, right? And this poor girl and it's just like coming at me, right? And and then I'm saying, there's, I said, I feel like her passing. She's saying it was her fault, but it doesn't feel like suicide. It doesn't feel like um, drugs or anything like that. It's something different. Like people were warning her, if you don't stop doing this, this is going to be bad for you. And I'm saying all stuff. And so finally, I'm like, girl, does this make any sense to you? Because I wasn't getting any feedback. You know what I mean? Like it was like
Right. Hmm.
nothing. And she said, absolutely every bit of it. She said, um, you're talking about my mom. She said, but my mom isn't dead. She said, my mom was involved with black magic, like a black magic down south, legit, like cult type of an organization.
Hmm.
And she said that everybody around her would tell her, she said she was little when all this went down. She was only about 3 years old, but she said people would tell my mom, that if you don't get away from these people, this isn't going to end good for you, right? And her mother never, she's like, one thing I said was like she didn't think anything bad would happen to her, and she said, my grandmother always tells me my mom thought that. My mom thought nothing bad would happen to her. Well, she decided eventually, because she had her little girl who's 3 years old. I am going to get away from. I want to get away from these people. So she went to them and said, "I'm leaving this organization." They said, "Well, you can leave all you want, but your soul's ours." And she didn't say when, but there was a point after where she became so mentally unstable that she wound up in a mental institution. Her grandparents, took custody of her. So
Yeah.
I freaked out. I was like, hold on a second. I was like, wait a minute. Because I never knew. You think mediumship, it's always with people that have crossed over. And the person that was running the class was like, you must be connecting with her spirit prior to her going into this mental institution. I said, that was too close for comfort for me with that kind of stuff. I'm out. Like I wanted nothing to do with it. That
So
scared me.
it, yeah. And what you describe absolutely can happen when we work. Because if it's strong enough, and you also could have been picking her up psychically from the girl you were working with.
Hmm.
If she had been thinking about mom recently, all of that is going to be in her own energy.
Gotcha.
and you would be able to pick that up. So you might have been working psychically, but it's still a freaky thing.
It's freaky. It was free. It
It's
freaked me
freaky.
out. It freaked me out. I heard black magic, and I was like, "Oh,
Hands up. No.
I'm cutting that cord. I am cutting that cord right now."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
I wanted
Yeah.
nothing to do with that.
I
So
mean, that happens. That happens. And not, people who continue to work, some of them don't want that kind of information. And as you learn, you can set your intentions with spirit that, hey, I don't really want this.
right,
Don't send me this.
right,
You
right,
can put your boundaries into place. And that's just study, practice, that it's stuff that a lot of people don't realize because they're not taught,
right.
or they don't go far enough to be taught that. But you can do it, and you can learn to control it. There are things I still, to this day, I will see. I will be clairvoyant from time to time. But because of what I saw when I was 9, my clairvoyance has never fully come back.
Yeah, see, so something scared you so much that you were like, "No, I." That's funny that we had like that's I didn't think to,
Mhm.
yeah, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it's finally been, I would say, in like, the last year and a half, 2 years now, that it has starting to come back. It's still not my primary way of receiving. I feel information, and I feel everything.
yeah.
Like, my whole joke is I can't go to a battlefield without getting shot in the chest or the head, and it's awful.
Well, that would
It's
suck for me. I go to Gettysburg way too much.
Gettysburg was a rough one for me the first
Yeah.
time I went up there. It
I
was
feel so bad for you because to me, it's heaven on earth, right? Like I
And I
go
love
there.
Gettysburg, don't get me wrong, I
Yeah,
absolutely love it,
yeah,
and now at least I can shield. I know it's gonna happen, I know that I'm able to feel it, so I can shield now, and it's not so bad. But Gettysburg is incredible,
it's
and
incredible.
investigating there is incredible.
It
So,
really
yeah.
is incredible. I want to touch on that for a second, and I also want to talk about the teaching part too, really quick.
Mhm.
But Stevie also, I wanted to say, my friend who practiced past life regression says the same thing about meditation because I told her I couldn't either because of my ADHD. So
Yeah.
she's saying the same things about like other stuff that you do.
Mhm,
Um,
absolutely.
have to be careful when you are there. Gettysburg, I think she's talking about. Um,
Yeah,
so
yeah, that's,
for
that's
me
my
though, for me, I pick up on like I always feel I'm so it's like a natural Xanax for me when I go there. And when I say
Mhm.
that, I mean the land, the trees, the air, the sun, the just being there. So I feel like when I'm there, and oddly enough, my EVPs and all this and that are 98% intelligent,
Yeah.
which is odd for a place like that because a lot of people always seem to experience the residual stuff or the stuff that's, which I have too. But I'm picking up on the stuff on the in betweens. I'm picking up on the conversations while they're at night and they're, having their whiskey and smoking their cigars and their tobacco and eating their crackers and, you know what I mean, talking about going home and their loved ones. And, I'm picking up on the patriotism and the fight and the all that stuff. Like I'm not. It's like my brain blocks out all of the battle stuff.
Yeah,
I don't think I would be
and
able to handle that.
I am wondering, do you feel like you are going home when you're there? When you go?
Yes, that is my home. I have the coordinates tattooed on my arm. Gettysburg is.
Um,
I want to live there one day. I mean, it's my dream. I love that place so much.
Have you ever had a past life regression?
I have not.
I have a
Well,
feeling. I have a feeling that there's a reason why Gettysburg feels like home.
Gettysburg, I cry when I leave. I cry when I leave. When I'm there, I feel like I'm home. I really do.
Beth says, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I do too. I really am kind of feeling that. I would have a past life regression. So
I've never had that. And I mean, I would want to know if I was in Gettysburg for sure.
yeah, yeah.
But I wouldn't want to know what else I did. I wouldn't want to know.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I
No,
understand that.
I would be open to it. I guess I could handle whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And the thing is, even the stuff you're not sure you want to know, if you find out, and then you're like, well, that makes sense as to why I'm this way now, why
yes,
I have that problem, or why I get anxious, like, around water or swimming or something. Like,
yeah.
I have this whole anxiety around the ocean. I love standing on the beach, don't like going in the oceon.
Oh, it's
And
very
I know it's
intimidating.
tied to a past life, and I know it's tied to a drowning in a past life. So,
Um, it's very intimidating. The
mhm, yes,
um, little fun fact here that I did not know, Dan. Thank you, Tyron. Did you know that Abraham Lincoln was drafted and paid someone to serve for him in the Civil War? Did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Did
Oh,
not.
wow,
Thank you for that
thanks.
little piece of
Yeah.
information there, Danny. um, the teaching part of it. So, once if somebody wants to get into this, how do you find the people that are going to guide you the right way? Like, how do people find this? Like, there's so much stuff on the internet, and there's so many things on there where people are just scam, like the scamming thing again. Like, how do you know the people that are the right people to learn from, and the right books to read, or the right articles to follow? Like, how do you know that?
Yeah, and that's always a tricky one. I mean, that's why I feel I was guided towards Cindy. That was supposed to happen. I was very fortunate. But there are a lot of really scammy mediums and teaching mediums out there. So it's going back, if you want to learn, again, you want to do some research on who you're looking at. Like, if you find somebody like on Eventbrite doing beginning mediumship 4 weeks for $50, run, don't do it. Don't do it. If the person teaching the class has only been practicing professionally less than a year, don't do it.
Mhm.
Let me see what else.
And you can
So
ask for the
again,
credentials.
you can vet the teachers as well. Well, who did you study with? How long have you been doing this? And again, they should be more than happy to say, okay, yeah, here are my credentials, here's who I studied with, here you can ask anything that you like. I have not started teaching beginning mediumship yet because I want to feel that I am completely ready to do that. And I know that spirit is leading me to it, but it will happen when that time is right. But you have a lot of people who take like 1 or 2 classes and say, oh, I'm ready. Let me teach other people. And they're setting a lot of people up for failure,
Yeah.
and taking money to do it.
Yes. It's,
So,
it's so sad. It's so sad that there's
yeah.
so much out there that you have to be. I mean, I'm even hesitant to take a friend request from somebody unless I'm like, you know what I mean?
I know. I am too. I am too.
It's so
I get a little
crazy.
nervous about it, and I'm like, so, and when they friend request me and I don't know them, and then immediately I get a follow me on this group or join my group, I'm like, no, you got to
Yeah. Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. For sure.
yeah.
There was something else I wanted to ask you. I said about the teaching. Darn it. Oh, my brain. I hate it. um, Let me see here. Was there another question? I couldn't remember. I was like trying to see. This is what happens. Um, well, how about we take this time opportunity right now to where people can find you, where people
Yes.
can find you.
Okay.
Give it.
So I am on social media everywhere. Uh, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Jen Rose Medium. So at Jen Rose Medium. And my website is jenrosemedium.com all together. And you can find me, find what I do, my readings, my gallery information. I do teach, just not beginning mediumship. So I'm getting there. It'll be before the end of this year.
That's awesome. That is so
Yeah.
awesome. And now, um, have you worked with Matt yet?
No, no.
So Matt should probably hook up with you.
Aw, I would love to. I would love to. I'm a huge fangirl.
He does. I mean, I've had the pleasure. Like I said, I worked with him on one show, and oh, thank you.
Aw, Tammy, I love you. Mwah.
Um, so and he the way he does things is awesome. I really, I took him to somewhere that was very near and dear to my heart, and he respected the place. He respected everybody there. The team works great together. I mean, he's definitely somebody that I would recommend working with for sure.
Yeah, I would love that. That would be
Um,
amazing.
yeah. So, what do you have coming up? You said you have like some.
So, yeah, so I've got a gallery reading coming up May 10th, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm on hiatus now for my own little YouTube, Facebook show, Pop Up Live, but that's coming back in June. And I run that Thursdays at noon. And we talk about everything spiritual, metaphysical. You'll hear me rant sometimes about stuff because I don't filter too well sometimes. But it's a lot of fun. And that is going to be coming back the first Thursday in June.
Awesome.
So, yeah. And then more stuff towards the end of the year. But I'm just excited right now. I am working with some coaching clients, and then I do several readings a week. And I'm always happy to work one-on-one with people. I will work with private groups too. Like if a family or group of friends wanted a reading, I'm happy to do that as well. So just reach out to me.
That's awesome. And you're open to the cold case thing and the.
Oh yeah, I'm open. I'm open to the cold case thing, and absolutely.
And the remote viewing for investigation, which I would love
Remote
to do with
viewing.
you, which I would love
Happy to
with
do
you.
that too. I am very happy to do that. So I spent quite a long time honing that skill. And it's one that I really do enjoy using, and especially if I can help people with it. So
That's awesome. Good for you.
yeah.
Well, I am so grateful that you came on. I'm so happy we had this time. And
Well,
it
thank you.
flew by. It
It
flew
did.
by.
I know. I just was like, oh wait, we've been on over an hour.
Yeah, but it's my show, your show. We can do what we want, right? So,
That's true.
is there anything that we didn't go over that you would like to talk about? Honestly, like, I mean, we can still talk. Like,
I'm thinking if there is anything else. So I have a group called Intuitive Endeavors that I run with Tammy Radin, Tammy Christine Medium, and Stephanie Elgady and Layla Olivari. We have a group on Facebook. But on Saturday, we are actually doing an intuitive circle where people can just come in and practice.
oh,
And
cool.
that's for free for members of our group, Intuitive Endeavors on Facebook. And we do a lot of cool things there. And we work with people on developing their intuitive abilities. So
I love that you offer that for free for people.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just the fact that you're saying all that, like, to me, gives a little bit of legitimacy to you. Not that I doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't have you on if I thought you were,
Oh, I know. But yeah, I
But
mean, stuff like that, when people are, they don't even know what they are, if anything, and they're just exploring, having a safe place to do that and having people who have been there, who are experienced, who can kind of help them along is really important. And I wouldn't charge for that kind of thing. Not for that.
yeah,
No.
yeah, that's awesome.
Thank
Um,
you.
Ajing says you are amazing, Jen.
Oh, thank you so much, Jing. I really appreciate that.
Um, and then I want to thank you for coming on. Thank you for everybody in the chat for being here. Even the people that like Tammy and your friends that came on to support, which is I
Absolutely.
think is amazing. It's always good to see that. And I want everybody to please, 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 please go like and subscribe and go follow Jen and go like her pages and share the show, not for me, for Jen. So
Thank
that
you.
so
Taryn,
that
thank you so much. I
I
really
I
appreciate
always
this
say,
time.
I always, my show is for this purpose to promote you and promote people like all my guests is to promote my guests and or the location they run or whatever. So whenever I say share my show out, it's not for Paranormal Brew. I don't. I want it shared out for the people I have on my show. I want it, to help you out. So
Um,
hit the share button, guys. Get it out there. And Jen, thank you so much. I look forward. I would love to have you on again.
I would love to come on again. Absolutely.
And
Anytime.
and any chance that you ever go to any like the Paracons or any of those like events or stuff like that?
I
Have you?
mean, occasionally, what's let's see. I will usually go to the Gettysburg Bash.
Oh,
Yeah,
are you
yeah.
going this year?
I gotta check my schedule, but I think I'm free, so I'm probably gonna come up that weekend for it because I
I'm
do
gonna
love
be there.
Gettysburg. So yeah, yeah. So
Oh,
there
I
are
hope you
others that I
come.
really would like to get to, and it's just all depending on my schedule. But I mean, it takes me 2.5 hours to get to Gettysburg from where I am.
Oh,
So
that was the other question. Are you a Redskins fan?
Commanders now.
I call them Redskins.
I know. I am born and raised by my mother. My father was a Dallas fan.
Oh wow!
Yes,
I'm a diehard Redskins fan. Let me tell you, I
yes.
am. I am. I have loved them since I was 7 years old. I have my. If I were to turn my camera around, there's a whole bunch of Redskins stuff all over this room. Like it's
Oh, that's
crazy.
amazing.
I
That's
am.
amazing. Okay, so I have a Daryl Green jersey.
You do.
I do.
That's awesome.
Because he was my all-time favorite player.
He was amazing. He was amazing. Um, I have lots of jerseys, and one of them signed by Joe Theismann, which I think Joe Theismann is amazing. I have a football signed by him. I have a hat signed by Sean Taylor. Rest in peace. But yeah, like I'm diehard. So as soon as you said you're in the DC, West Virginia
Yeah.
the area, I was like,
Redskins
she's
all
got to be. She's got to be a Skins fan.
all the way. I am my mother's daughter, and she would kick me from beyond if I said anything else. So I know that.
HTTR. HTTR.
Yeah. So absolutely, HTTR.
Yep. But I can deal with the Commanders. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm in Eagles country. Gotta tell you how much fun my
That's
football
rough.
seasons are. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
that's
it's
rough because
dreadful.
yeah.
And I
Trust
will
me.
tell you this. I will root for any team that plays against the Eagles. Any team.
I do too. I
Any
do
team.
too.
Even
I do.
Dallas. I
I
will root
absolutely
for
do.
Dallas when they play the Eagles.
I would too. I would too because the Eagles are just no,
No.
nope, no, mm-mm, no.
All right. On that note, Jen, I love you even more now. Now we're
Oh, I
even
love you
now we're even
too.
now we're even like this.
We are. We are. So
And hopefully I get to see you in Gettysburg. I get to meet
I
you.
would love that. I would
Yeah.
absolutely love that. Of
Yeah.
course.
I want to thank you so much for coming on. Again, thank you everybody in the chat. Thank you everybody. Please share the show out for Jen. and get people flowing into her pages and sign up for her classes. She's a good soul. I can tell she's
Thank you.
and thank you, Tammy, and I don't know who else. I know did
Tammy,
Tina,
Tina, everybody, thank
yeah,
you.
Stevie, everybody that came in. Thank you so much. And thank you, Matt Kondracki,
Yes.
for hooking us up.
Matt, thank
Um,
you.
yeah, and be sure to check out Dark Echoes Paranormal TV and Dark Echoes
Absolutely.
because they're good.
Absolutely.
We Tammy said we all would get along great. Yes, for sure.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Jen, you have a wonderful night. And I will talk to you soon.
All right, Taryn, thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful. Again, please share the show out. Please be sure to join me next week. Paranormal Brew here Wednesday live 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Booked until the third week in June. So at least we know we got Paranormal Brew until then. But until next time, babies, sweet dreams. Love yous.